There we go. A couple more joining the chat. Thanks everybody for being here. We truly appreciate it. We've been doing this every year for a few years, getting everyone together prior to heading down to the Keys for the Swim for Alligator Lighthouse as a way of going through a number of details about the event, and then also trying to do our best to cover any questions that any of the swimmers or kayakers may have again before you travel. So once again, thanks so much for being here. We are super excited for the 2024 edition of the Swim for Alligator Lighthouse, and we appreciate your joining us here this evening. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Casey Taker, and we'll go from there. Thanks so much.
All right. Hey, everyone, just a couple of things. We're going to have a short agenda. We're going to run through some of our commonly asked questions and some of the things that we need to make sure you guys have embedded in your brain before the event. And then also we will have time at the end for Q&A. We do ask, guys, please make sure that you are on mute. We all know sometimes that background noise can be really, really distracting. So if you can make sure that you're on mute, and we will give everyone a chance to ask questions. Just so if you're anything like me, sometimes you forget a question. So if you want to type it in the chat, just so that you don't forget it as we go, we will direct all of those toward the end. So, all right. So we are going to start with the man, the myth, the legend, with Mr. Lighthouse Larry himself. And Larry, can you give us, like, why are we here? What are we doing? What's going, like, how did this all start?
Well, in 2012, hi everybody, thanks for joining. In 2012, I was trying to bring attention to saving Alligator, and out of being frustrated because nothing was really being done by the government, I got this crazy idea to swim the Alligator and back to bring attention to it. And the TDC got wind of it, and they wanted me to pick a date to do it. And so about 10 days or so before I swam it, a couple of weeks, I decided to get a friend of mine and swim a one-way trip just to make sure I could do it, so I didn't look like a fool. And on the swim out to it, even though I've swam around it all my life, I got out to the point about 1.5 miles, almost 2 miles from the lighthouse where the white sand starts. And that will stun everyone. It's the beauty, but that's when it hit me. This would be the greatest open water swim in the world. So I made it to the lighthouse, came back. I called Rob Dixon, Captain Rob, and told him my idea to let's have an annual swim for Alligator Lighthouse. Without hesitation, as him and I think of some crazy stuff, we put together a swim for Alligator. And so then when I did swim it for the first time, Rob and several people took turns swimming alongside me, and we announced it as the Swim for Alligator. So that's how that all got started. Alligator itself, even growing up here, once I started researching it to build a lighthouse for someone that asked me to, I didn't even realize the history of it. And the lighthouse is named after the USS Alligator. There is no alligators out there. We have had questions, people asking if there were alligators, but no, it's named after the USS Alligator, which was launched in November 2nd, 1820 in Boston Harbor. And in the early 1821, it made several trips to the west coast of Africa to impede slave ships coming to the Americas. And on November 19th, 1821, it ran aground where the lighthouse is today. And they had to basically burn it to the waterline. And that's where the name Alligator Lighthouse comes from. And, it's a major part of the Florida Keys history. It's a major part of the maritime history of the United States. and it's truly worth saving. And that's what this whole mission is all about. And, you know, we do have a website, Save Alligator Lighthouse, you know, for donations, any help, anything anyone could possibly do to help us, we would appreciate it tremendously.
SaveAlligatorLighthouse.org.
And so, you know, if you're into doing that, please help. But that's where we came up with this, and that's where we're at today. And Red Bull does rank it as the 7th most challenging swim in the world. And the one more interesting thing, when it was built in 1873, for 15 years until 1889, when the Eiffel Tower was built, it was the 2nd tallest iron structure on Earth. And it's has history, so please help. And thank you all for wanting to be a part of this.
You know, I think that the event itself is so special, and let's just be honest, it's so much fun. I think it's really easy to lose track sometimes of its core mission and what we're doing. So I know that that's been times we've had a lot of swimmers say they're out there, they're hitting their rough spot, but they're remembering they're part of something so much bigger. And that's what helps kind of push them through those hard times out on the water. So I hope you guys take that back with you too. You are part of a much larger family now. There's people all around the world that have done this swim and worked to save this lighthouse, and you're part of that family now too with this event. So just really appreciate you guys coming down to Isla Mirada and have some fun with us here next week. We're going to jump into just some logistics things. So one of our big goals with this webinar is we want to make sure that some of these last minute pieces before you guys are packing, before you guys are coming down, you start to feel comfortable with, and just give you some things to think about on race day. So we are going to welcome more than 400 people down to the island to be part of this event. It's a long-standing history of a big event, and everyone tends to really have a good time with it. So biggest thing, we know that sometimes things change, right? Life happens. If you have changes that have to be made as we get in, I know we've probably gone through over 100 plus 200 emails in the last couple weeks of people, I need to change my kayak, or my buddy needs to move to this. We're 3 now instead of 2. We're happy to help you guys with those. Just the sooner you guys can let us know about them, the better. Just drop an email. We are in that inbox every single day and working to work those through. And then if you get on site, just remember that we can make some adjustments, but the earlier we know, the easier it's going to be and the speedier it's going to be. So as soon as if you have any registration changes, we're happy to help you guys with those. We just need to know as soon as possible. Same thing, if something does happen, you know, we do have a deferral window. So you've got to let us know by Monday if for some reason you need to discuss alternate options. Kayaks, I want to make sure everybody on this call knows you do need, so if you are a solo swimmer, you do need a kayaker to accompany you. We don't have any single kayaks left for rent. However, there are a few folks on the island that are still renting kayaks. There's Marathon. I know they've helped out a few people here last minute. And then also Backcountry Cowboy had a few kayaks, single kayaks for rent that they were helping people out with. We are sold out of our single kayaks, but we do still have some doubles left. So if you do need a double kayak, if you're doing a 3-person or 4-person, you can still order that as part of your registration. If you guys did order a kayak, you have gotten the VIP service with that. Those kayaks are going to be delivered with your life jackets and your paddles. You will literally show up. They will already be on the beach ready for you. And then when you're done, you just get to step out of your kayak, make sure all your belongings out of it, and then they're going to come back and get them for you. So really excited that we are able to continue to offer that VIP service for our swimmers. And we hope, again, we tend to sell out quickly on that stuff. So everyone that got in early and got those booked, congratulations. It's definitely going to help make the logistics of the weekend easy on you. Also, make sure your awards dinner tickets. So this event will happen the night after the swim. Again, you can purchase these back by logging back into your Run sign up account if you have not had a chance yet. We are starting to run low, so I do encourage you to do that this week if you get a chance. We are nearing sellout with those. But it's a great time. I mean, we have that at Bud and Mary's. They have this giant barn that overlooks the water. An opportunity to kind of sit. What's better than after you've done something big, right? Sitting and swapping stories, maybe having a few beverages. And the food last year was absolutely out of this world. So really, really encourage you guys to take that in. We're really lucky to have some phenomenal partners with Bud and Mary's and the Green Turtle and Florida Keys Brewing. And they do a ton to help us, but man, they make that a party. We've got an awesome DJ lined up. You'll get to listen to us drone on about some stuff, but we have a few drinks in us by then, so it's actually pretty fun. So guys, make sure you guys are taking care of that just logistics wise before you get here. So any changes to registrations, let us know ASAP. Dinner tickets, make sure your kayaks are booked or you've already got something that you're planning to bring down with you. If you guys are bringing your own kayak, they have to be between at least 11 to 12 feet. So nothing under that is allowed out on the water. I've heard a lot of people try to tell me all the stories about how awesome they'll be in their 9-foot kayak. And we're going to tell you it's never worked. In the history of this event, they've never worked. So we do have those rules in place, and those will be requirements when you are checking your kayak in on Thursday or Friday. All right. Moving into some things with the event itself. So we're going to take a few minutes. We always get a ton of questions around hydration and nutrition while you're out on course. And so just want to take a few minutes to let you guys know some key things that have worked for a lot of our swimmers in the past. So number one, it's going to be warmer than probably where you've been training. And I even say this to our, just like us, that have been beating the heat this summer. It's going to be warm. So make sure that you are preparing and make sure that you are starting to hydrate like now. You want to make sure that you're starting to get those electrolytes in your body. You're starting to get that salt in your body. You're really working up to being a bit, don't drink 3 gallons of water a day, but you want to make sure that you're starting your nutrition way early, especially because we all like to have a little bit of fun while we're down in the Keys. So you want to make sure you're starting that process early. And also, hopefully you've been practicing with some of your nutrition. And now's the time that you need to be practicing, okay, how am I going to pack this stuff? Kind of lay out, it sounds crazy, but we've had a lot of people, they'll lay out a towel that's going to be 12, 11 feet, and they'll start trying to place their stuff. And really need to think through not only how am I going to pack it, but how am I going to secure it within my kayak? It is a chance, especially with a lot of the relays where you're getting in and out of your kayak, that your kayaks may flip. So you need to be not only practicing what you're going to bring, but also looking at what you're going to secure it in and how you're going to secure those things, those coolers, those extra water bottles, stuff like that in your kayak. We want to make sure the Keys are a beautiful, beautiful place, and we want to make sure we're leaving them just that way. So some tips that have worked, again, start hydrating early. Start thinking through your salt and carb plans early. You don't need to start those a week out, but you certainly need to start them a few days out. And really kind of think through that and what you're bringing to town. We're very lucky. We have a Publix, and we also have a great spot called the Trading Post that are on the island and super close. However, things at Publix and things at the Trading Post tend to sell out quickly because a lot of people are coming into town, all with the same mission. So if you have some very specific things, making sure you're buying them early if you can and bring them down with you, or just make sure you're putting Publix as one of your first stops so that you can get in there and get what you need. But definitely making sure you have a hydration and nutrition plan. Write it down, like go ahead and kind of mentally start memorizing that. We've got a lot of swimmers on here I've seen that have done this event before. And we all know with any endurance event, you can get in the zone and it's really easy to all of a sudden start forgetting that you need to be eating and you need to be drinking. And when you hit the point where you absolutely have to have it, it's going to be really hard to recover back from that. So if you have that plan and you kind of have that in your head and you share that plan with your kayakers or your support team, your relay team, guys can all help remind each other of, hey, it's 30 minutes. You need to take down some food, or, hey, you need some water, and kind of helping one another out with that. And kind of tell your kayaker, you need to kind of know their plan too. Just every now and again, we'll certainly see it. The kayakers get so busy taking care of you guys, they forget to take care of themselves. So anytime you're popping up or you're taking a drink or you're grabbing some food, make sure you're checking in on your kayaker and saying, hey, are you following your hydration and your nutrition plan too? Because it's going to be a big day for them. So those are just a few of the tips. I think that everyone kind of has their own plan for this, but just make sure that you're practicing it. And also just make sure that you come with the idea that you're going to have this thing in your head of exactly how the day is going to go. And that's going to be about 90% about how the day goes. There's always going to be a little something that jumps in there and surprises you. So make sure you get excited about racing the day that's delivered to you, not just racing the day you think you're going to have. And that same thing with your nutrition, planning, getting it dialed in, being hyper prepared, and then also kind of knowing what you need to adapt to. If your stomach starts turning a little bit or you start needing a little more hydration, you've kind of planned, you've got that plan B, and you've kind of over prepared for that. So, all right. Next, we're going to move on to some of our number one rules of the event. And guys, this is that point where I am going to be the slightly sassy co-race director. Number one rule for Alligator Lighthouse: be nice. Be nice, be nice, be nice. You are coming down to an amazing place. You are coming down to a group of people that have worked really, really hard to prepare something very, very special for you. And you are coming down to something that not a lot of people in their lifetime get a chance to do. So we give the same speech to all of our volunteers and staff. So feel free to know that you're in good company. But there are stressful points throughout the weekend. Checking in can be stressful. Unloading your stuff can be stressful. You know, prepping your kayak can be stressful. Number one thing, though, always be nice. We have a lot of hardworking people, and we need to make sure that we take great care of them, because the majority of the folks down there have devoted a lot of time to making sure you have a great day. So keep that in mind. The second rule is common sense. When in doubt, do what makes common sense. I promise you that rule will see you through to great things while you're down in Islamorada. And I mean that as, you know, if you're out on the water, do what absolutely makes sense to keep you and your team safe. If you're sitting in line and you're getting frustrated, use common sense. So those are the two big rules of the weekend. Be nice, use common sense, and I promise you guys are going to have an absolutely unbelievable time. All right, so just talking through the weekend, and I'm speed talking a little bit. So again, feel free to drop questions in the chat. We will make sure to do some Q&A here in just a little bit. Talking through kind of the logistics of the weekend. So we are going to be making a few small changes to the schedule. Those will be updated on the website over this weekend. Not anything major. One of the ones being the open times from 4 to 7 to 3 to 6. And a big reason for this is that we have some amazing partners in our Florida Keys Brewing Company, and they open their doors to us every Thursday before this event. And it's a huge tradition that we all go, we enjoy a few beers, get off the road. Most of us have traveled in from a little bit of a distance, get off the road, have a great cold beer, and enjoy the camaraderie of one another. We have found that a lot of times when we're open that last hour that overlaps, it just stresses people out because they're trying to get too many places at once. So we're going to open up a little bit earlier for everybody, and then we're going to shut down registration on Thursday at 6. That's going to allow everyone ample time to get over to Florida Keys Brewing between 6 and 8 and enjoy our really festive happy hour with friends. Once you get there, if you're coming in solo or you just want to come say hi, look for any of us. We will be in Alligator Lighthouse apparel. And those of us, we've got Matt over here, we've got Fred, we've got Larry, we've got Rob, we've got Mickey on this call, we've got Maggie. Any of these smiling faces, feel free to come find us at the brewery and say hi. We're really excited to welcome you. Make sure when you're coming into registration, you've got your ID and you've got who the people that are going to be on your team with. So by this, I mean, if you are a solo swimmer, your kayaker needs to be checking in with you. If you show up on Thursday and they don't get there till Friday, go ahead and hold off. You can wait until Friday to come check in. You guys are going to want to check in together. That's going to be the smoothest transition. They're going to have a few things they need to do. You're going to have a few things you need to do, and knocking it all out at once is going to make the whole weekend a lot smoother. If you guys are coming in as a relay team, you need to check in as a team. That's the same thing. It's going to make things a whole lot smoother, and it's going to allow everybody an opportunity to get in sync and get lined up and make sure you've got everything that you need for packet pickup. So when you get to on site at the Amerique, There will be parking across the street. You'll see as you're coming right across the street from the America, you're going to see a large parking lane. You'll be able to pull in there and park. This is one of those things where using common sense is going to make a lot of sense, like park in a way like a normal human would. Don't try to park in, don't try to park taking up as much space as humanly possible. Thank you, Matt. You guys will see this all along the way across from America. So once you are parked, you're going to want to come across the street and you are going to go into what we call the fishbowl first, or the meeting room. So inside the lobby of the America, you're going to come in and you're going to see signs directing you toward the registration room. And there is a small kind of glass encased room in which that's where you'll be checking in, making sure you've got your ID and your co-partners there with you. If the line is a little bit long, feel free to use this time to take our Swim for Alligator Lighthouse survey. This is an opportunity. Having this information is vital. So being able to know where our folks came from, where you're staying, not only does it help us improve the experience year after year for our guests, but it also allows us to showcase the impact this event has to the community, which is really, really important to a lot of our local fundraising efforts and how we interact with all of the folks on the island. Because again, they're opening up their island to us for the weekend. So us being able to kind of showcase that in numbers really helps. So make sure you take that survey. And as a bonus, again, thanks to our friends at Florida Keys Brewing, if you take that survey, there's a great beer ticket in there to just as a little thank you from us for taking the time to do that. So either while you're waiting in line or afterward, you can take that survey. When you come into the room, we're going to get you checked in. There will be a waiver for you to sign. We're going to digitally check you in. We're going to get you your timing chip. And then you'll go around and get the rest of your goodies for the weekend. One of the things you will be picking up is a Swim for Alligator Lighthouse swim cap. This is the cap you will be wearing on race day. It is mandatory that you wear this cap, and it is mandatory that you wear a cap and that you wear this cap. So make sure that you've got that, and also make sure you're prepared to wear that on race day. After that, we were going to be sending you out to our very hospitable kayak team, and they're going to get you set up with either the kayak that you booked, or if you're bringing a kayak in, they're going to give you instructions on how to get that in and get that checked in and approved so that we can get you set up. And you will be leaving everything. When you guys check in, you'll see you're going to show up. There's going to be a ton of kayaks out on the beach. It's a really cool scene. So you'll kind of get an idea of where your kayak is, get in, kind of get used to it. But there will not be any opportunities to test out your kayak before the event. So you won't need to put anything in it until race day, but you will have an opportunity to see where it is, kind of get comfortable with it and put some eyes on it. And that can also help with your packing. So that's your Thursday or your Friday check-in. Make sure that you've got that stuff. So on Fred Rismick, is there anything I missed as far as registration?
Always one of the issues that we have, people park across the street or on the property, and then they go to the kayak pickup zone first. They should go to the registration first, so we know what number and what group or size of team they're on. So again, everybody check in at registration. Actually go to survey first while you're waiting in line, take the survey, then go through registration. And number 2 would be go to the kayak area and pick up your kayak. Is the only issue that seems to be an ongoing thing with people. They check in the kayak area thinking that they want to get their kayak first, but check in with registration first.
Awesome. Perfect. All right. So moving on, one of the other things that you are going to want to do, you're going to check in, you're going to make sure that you complete that survey, help us out there. You're going to have some time to swing through the merch booth. We have got some awesome merch coming in for the race this year. I will say it's one of the most popular spots to be. If you need to find a friend, go hang out at the merch booth for a little while. It's definitely one of the hottest spots there is. And then you will want to plan to attend one of the safety meetings on Friday. So on Friday, there will be multiple safety meetings. Just going to quadruple check myself because sorry, gang.
1, 3, and 6.
1, 3, and 6. Yeah. So 1, 3, and 6. So here's a few reasons why this safety meeting is so important. Number one, we're going to cover a ton of information, and some of it you would have heard before, but this is our only opportunity to ensure that everyone has not only heard all the information, but we are able to give you updates on any changes that may have to be made. This is a live event. This is a live event outside on the open water. Sometimes we have to tweak things. And that safety briefing is the only opportunity that we have to walk you guys through what those tweaks may be. And also if there's anything that you guys need to be aware of as we head into the event. Sorry, trying to get my lighting right. So make sure you're attending that safety briefing. This is also where we're going to go through the flow of the weekend, exactly how you're going to be getting in and out of the water. All of the times you guys have a chance to ask questions with our water team. We are so lucky. We have one of the most expansive water safety teams. We've got a crew that's been doing this for more than 11 years and have a ton of open water experience. So really, really great opportunity. And this is mandatory. So we will be checking you guys in as you come. And if you don't attend a safety briefing, guess what? Don't get a swim come Saturday. So make sure you're attending a safety briefing. Guess what you can also do while you're attending the safety briefing? Bring a bottle of water with you. Use that as an opportunity to sit down and hydrate for a minute. So make sure you're thinking through some of that stuff across the weekend is, hey, should I just be walking around with a bottle of water that I can be hydrating, or a bottle of electrolytes to help me prep for the weekend? So check in first in the fishbowl, as you call it, in the lobby. Make sure you do your survey. You're going to get your kayak checked in, or check in and get your kayak. And then you're going to make sure you attend a safety briefing. All right. Those are the 4 main things you need to make sure you do before race day. Okay. On Friday, we will have a opportunity for a little bit of pool time at the Founders Park pool. Guys, there really isn't any swimming right outside the America except for on race day. That is an active boat channel. So we are very lucky on race day. We have worked long and hard to actually get that boat channel shut down. And that is shut down by a partnership with the Coast Guard and the local authorities. However, during any time that's not the race, that is an active boat channel right outside the America. So no swimming right outside the America, but we will have Founders Park pool. We'll all be there on Friday morning. And it's a little bit, bring your cap, enjoy a few laps, shake it out, get the wiggles out. It's really a good time and a great opportunity to check out where our local team makes the magic happen on a weekly basis. So go Fighting Manatees. Saturday, race morning. Guys, one thing that we have been able, that we take pride in doing, is we start on time. So get your boot butts up and get ready, because the wave times, they are going to start on time and you need to go in your wave. All right. Coming back to common sense, being nice. There are some logistics on race day that we have to do things in a very specific way to ensure that everyone is accounted for, everyone stays safe. Okay. So as you're being instructed through those things on race day, make sure you're listening to them. It's really, really important. If you are number 78 and we tell you need to wait until we are getting your number in the water, we're not just doing that to make it up. We're doing that because we have very specific logistics behind it on when your time starts and how we're counting you getting in the water. So make sure you guys are paying attention to that. Make sure you're ready for an on-time start. And that means getting out there early, taking time to get your kayak ready, and giving yourself some buffer time. If you guys have done any type of endurance event, some time, we're loading pretty much over 350 kayaks to 400 kayaks in the water all at the same time. This takes a hot minute. So whatever time you think you need to get ready, add 30 minutes to it and be out there and be ready. I promise you, you will definitely enjoy the day a lot more if you're not rushed and you're not stressed. All right. Matt, Fred, anything we want to add in there before we move on and let Matt talk us through some of the course?
Yeah, sure thing. Just one quick note. We're going to make a few website changes in the next couple of days. But as Casey mentioned on Thursday, we do have a 3-hour time block for packet pickup. That's traditionally been from 4 p.m. until 7 p.m. We're still going to offer a 3-hour time period, but we're just moving it up an hour from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. So we'll make that change on the website here shortly within the next couple of days. But just wanted to make sure that we mention that as well. We are going to change those hours of packet pickup on Thursday. Our staff has some obligations that evening, and we need that extra hour. So we're going to make that change from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Thursday for packet pickup. Any other updates there before we move forward? Okay. Want to jump in to talk about the course a little bit. As I pull this up, today's high water temperature on the course was 86.4 degrees. So that's 1 degree warmer than this time last year, but still in the same ballpark there. So if anybody's curious about that, 86.4 degrees was the water temperature today out on the course. For those of you that have swam with us in previous years, we are making a few very simple changes to the start and the finish of the race. Typically, hopefully you can follow along with my cursor here. If I can find my cursor here. Oh, there we go. Typically, we have our start finish line has been right off of the dock here. We're moving it over a little bit, which was actually to the west from where it's traditionally been. In previous years, everyone has started through this inflatable arch, and then you've had to do a little bit of a dog leg over to the right to then start the straight line out to the straight buoy line out to the lighthouse itself. So this year we're going to move it over a little bit. It's going to be more in line with the stairs, and it'll be more of a straight shot heading out. Part of the reason that we are doing this is the start and finish timing mat is at the very top of the stairs. So our timing crew and our scoring crew has everything down pat. When we stage you in the water here prior to your race, we will be recording your bib number, if you will, on your shoulders or on your hand as you go in the water. So we know when you've started, when we blow the horn at that point, but we want to make sure that we have a little bit closer distance on the way in for you to come up those stairs. No rush to come up those stairs. Take your time. You won't have your sea legs yet. We will have staff there to help you, but your actual finishing clock will be at the top of the stairs. So in years past, when people finished here at the end of the dock, sometimes they'd flip over, swim a little backstroke, take their goggles off, relax a little bit. It might take them 2 or 3 minutes before they make it over to the stairs and up to the top to go ahead and end their race when they cross the timing mat. That's part of our reason for the change this year. And also in an effort to just have more of a direct line out and back. So you'll see this starting arch again, just down from the stairs a little bit out. So we'll have a bit of a smaller swimmer staging area than we've had in the past. But again, we'll have everybody in the queue up at the top of the stairs to send you off 10 at a time, as Casey and Mickey mentioned earlier in our Zoom call here. As always, we'll have a buoy line coming along here, and then we'll extend a new one this year over to the dock. Only swimmers are allowed in this swimmer staging area before the race and after. So as your kayaker helps you bring you all the way to the finishing arch, your kayaker is then going to stay outside the buoy line and head back to the kayak launch and retrieval area over around the corner by the big. So keep that in mind, just a little bit of a change to how we're doing the start. We'll still have our announcer tent over here out on the dock. And we'll also have a lot of medical support in this general area too. When you finish swimming, we will also have some showers out here on the dock for you with fresh water for anybody that wants to go rinse off after being out in the water for 8 miles total. Aside from that, you'll see those of you that have swam in the past, you'll see a lot of the same. We'll have our rubber duckies out there as always to help you especially when you're coming in to get a little excited. We will have our square yellow buoys that you'll enter through on the way out. And then of course you'll begin this process of heading out for the full 8-mile swim. Buoy number 2, of course, Casey mentioned, you must be aligned. Every swimmer must be aligned with their kayaker by the time they hit buoy number 2. If you are swimming and you have not found your kayaker when you get to buoy number 2, at that point you must stop. You must stop until you find your kayaker before you can then venture forward on the course. That is a safety standard that we have in place. We will have staff on jet skis out there at that location, making sure that happens. This is a 4-mile stretch that we have to make sure that is manned safely, and we do not want swimmers out on the course without their kayak support directly next to them. So those of you that are on, 2, 3, and 4 person teams, at that point, you've got to find your teammates at buoy number 2. So remember maybe your color of your kayak, maybe all of your kayaker if you're a solo swimmer, or your teammates if you're swimming one of the relays. Maybe you all have the same color shirt. Do something vibrant, do something that's going to be recognizable. Some people will put a American flag or whatever type of identity that they want to place onto their kayak to help with that process once you get to buoy number 2. So please keep that in mind. You'll see we've got jet skis all over the course. We've got, I think, over 22 safety boats that will be out on course, plus Coast Guard boats, and also a helicopter in the air as well. We have an entire process of communication between staff that is on land and staff that is out on the water, both the helicopter, the support boats, and those kayakers as well. Additionally, once again this year, at the halfway mark, we will have our support barge there too. We'll have medical support there. We'll have water. We have a little bit of nutrition that's out there as well for anybody that might get into any trouble. And if anybody that does need to be brought in, most likely they will be staged at that support barge, especially if you're beyond that 2-mile mark. So keep that in mind, that the support barge will be out there, and there will be some assistance there should you need it at that 2-mile mark, 2-mile or 6-mile mark, depending on if you're heading out or heading back in. Aside from that, again, straight line, all of these buoys that are numbered orange buoy, orange triangles, buoy numbered 1 through 7. And then second half of the course, all of the triangles are yellow, numbered 8 through 14. So every one of them has a number on them, and every single buoy location is a 1/4 mile apart. So keep that in mind if you just need that for reference. They are a 1/4 mile apart. Once you get out, your 15th buoy, if you will, is the lighthouse itself. You'll make your turn and then swim all the way back. Big thing here is we want to make sure that hopefully you've already been doing this, but that you are swimming no more than, say, 5 to 10 yards from your kayak, from your kayaker. Kayakers, you have a better view sitting up a little bit higher in the water than the swimmers do. The more that you hug those buoys, the more that those swimmers are going to ensure that they are only going an 8-mile distance. Anytime they get a little bit further out and venture out, then at that point, you're going to be swimming more than 8 miles. And that's not a happy swimmer at the end of the day when they go check their watch. Or your teammates themselves. You'll be surprised how many times that the water safety staff out on the water, we will see a swimmer and we don't have a kayaker in sight. Kayaker might be 40 yards behind them, 50 yards to the right or the left of them. That's an unacceptable situation for us. We want to make sure that at all times the kayaker is right next to the swimmer, whether you are a solo swimmer or on a relay. You need to stick together and make sure that you are hugging those buoys as much as possible to swim the shortest distance between the shore and, of course, the lighthouse. So very similar course map with the certainly some changes at the very beginning that'll make it a little bit more of a direct out and back. But with that, I'll also just zoom in here too, so you can see some of these start times that we have listed. Solo swimmers will go off at 7:45. They're in the yellow, neon yellow caps. We'll start the 2-person teams right at 7:52 in neon green caps. 3-person teams at 7:54 with neon blue caps, and then all of our 4-person teams thereafter with the neon orange caps. So you'll receive those at registration when you go to check in. So that's about it on terms of the course. Any of our staff have any items to add to the course map?
Just one thing I want to kind of enforce again. We are very, very lucky to have a lot of support here with our water safety. And with that, we also have some legal obligations, if you will. So because we closed this boat channel, we actually have officers on the water that can arrest boats that are not following the rules and are trying to cut across the course. We also have officers that can help us enforce the rules of the race. So guys, when we say you can't go past that second buoy, that is lines for disqualification. And if we disqualify you from the race, then you are technically on our course trespassing if you try to continue. So we're not trying to be hard. We're trying to keep you safe. So you're not allowed to go past that second buoy without your kayaker. And if you guys are found during the race without your swimmer or without your kayaker, that can be grounds for disqualification and removal for the course. So I really just want to push that home. It's something we have to keep reminding people is it's really, really important. And it's really in the hands of who's kayaking at that moment, but also the swimmer. It's your responsibility to make sure that you're staying alongside your kayaker.
And every swimmer and every kayaker will have a wristband that you will wear during the race as well. That's also an identifier to to those safety boats and to that law enforcement that'll be out on the water that you are certainly supposed to be there out on the course. That you are a registered swimmer and registered kayaker. So keep that in mind too. Again, those are some of the materials that you'll receive at registration. Anybody else on the course map? Okay, Casey, take it away.
All right. Before we jump into a few questions, I want to make sure we're pointing out a few more things. Number one, this race has never in its history been wetsuit legal. So I can with almost all certainty, this will not be wetsuit legal. So there will not be wetsuits allowed. So I want to make sure that we're getting that out there. Every now and again, we've got someone that tries, but there will not be wetsuits allowed on course. It's not even, hey, can I swim in it and not get timed? There will not be wetsuits allowed out on course. I also want to encourage everyone before you get down here, this is a great week to be practicing your sunscreen technique. Make sure you have invested in some high quality reef safe sunscreen and make sure that you have at least one practice go with applying that and getting wet. This will be super, super important because not only are you going to have to apply it at the very beginning, but you're likely going to have to keep applying it as you go. So make sure you get some of that practice in and make sure that you come down prepared with that. Because again, that is an item that does sell out very quickly at Publix. So don't rely that it's going to be on the island when you need to come down and get it, especially because you need that high quality reef safe stuff. I also recommend if you guys are planning, you will be required to have a phone out on the kayak. So if you have a waterproof case for your phone, make sure that you're bringing that along. We have seen a few hit the water uncased, super pretty. So make sure you have your phone in a waterproof case and also make sure you have a little floaty on that case if possible. But you will appreciate having that waterproof. And most of those cases these days, you can still take pictures and everything with the phone right there in the case. All right, we're going to jump into a few questions. Can I use a belt life jacket? You have to pull the trigger to inflate when we are on the kayak. I'm going to lean into our kayak team for approval on that. Mickey, can they use a belt inflatable?
Yes, they can, as long as it's Coast Guard approved.
Perfect.
And you're seeing a lot more of those out there.
Yeah.
Yes, it definitely can be used. And follows up that question with, are there jellyfish? I have no prior knowledge of jellyfish on the course.
I cannot confirm nor deny. But there will be guaranteed jellyfish in the registration room in the form of crocheted jellyfish. So yes, we can almost guarantee there will 100% be jellyfish.
Yeah, there you
just may
go.
find them in the lobby of the hotel.
Well, Rob
guys,
said earlier he hasn't seen much in the way of jellyfish, so that's good.
So far. Let's keep our fingers crossed, but we've heard good news on the jellyfish front up until yesterday. So keep our fingers crossed, or we'll just deal with it like we do every year.
Yeah.
You just like Lighthouse Larry says, it's just like a shot of espresso. Just wakes you up. There's one right there. Look at that.
It is a little bit of a rite of passage. I will also say the jellyfish are much better. Boats outside of our safety boats are not allowed on the course. So support boats that are there for individual swimmers are not allowed. This helps cut down on not only boats being out there and not knowing what they're doing, but if there's a bunch of boats in the water, sometimes that can actually chop the jellyfish up and turn them into just stinging little rain pieces. So be very grateful that the only boats out on the water, for the most part, will be stationed and anchored, and they will all be safety boats that are associated with the event. Want to make sure that we are highlighting, if you guys go on the Run Sign Up website for Swim for Alligator Light, you will see a link down toward, as you scroll down toward the bottom of that first page, for our Race Joy app. So if anyone has ever done an Ironman or anything like that, worked with the Ironman tracker, this is very similar. It is essentially an app that you can download, and it helps GPS track you across the water so that your friends and family can get an idea of where you're at out on the water. Because unfortunately, this is not the most spectator friendly event. We basically say goodbye, you're gone for a bit, and then you say hello when you get back across the finish line. So make sure you're downloading that Race Joy app. It also helps us keep an eye of who's all out on the course. I will say that with that app open, it can drain your battery a bit. So if you do have an extra battery bank or something like that you can pack that can easily fit into that plastic bag, I would recommend doing that too, because we know you're going to want to take pictures and video and stuff out there. But make sure you're downloading that Race Joy app. It's super user friendly. It's super battery friendly. And it's not only peace of mind, but also gives your friends and family that maybe not even at the event a chance to kind of see how you're doing throughout the week or throughout the race. We've got that link right here in the chat. Stephanie, I see you've got a question on adding the kayakers information. You can log back into your Run sign up account, and you can go into manage your registration, and you can go back in there, and there's actually a space that was part of registration where you add in name, email address, and phone number for your kayakers. And those kayakers will be getting an email alongside with event information over the weekend. So make sure you are doing that. Log back into Run Sign Up, go to My Races, Swim for Alligator Light, manage registration, and you can do it right in there. And if they have any trouble, feel free to tell them to drop us an email. Let's see. As far as kayakers, so kayakers and life jackets. So if you have rented a kayak from us, we are providing a life jacket for you. So when you rented that kayak, it includes your kayak. If it's a single kayak, it's 1 paddle, 1 life jacket. If it's a double kayak, it's 2 paddles and 2 life jackets. So if you've rented from us, you're good to go. Those are required to be worn while out on the water. If you have rented from one of the local companies and you're bringing it yourself or having them deliver it, you need to make sure they're also bringing a paddle and a life jacket. Again, you will be checked as you're entering the water in the kayak loading zone, and you will have to be wearing that in order to get out on the water. If you are bringing your own kayak, you will need to make sure that your own paddle and your own life jacket. All right. Saltwater swim from Founders Beach. Rob, can we swim? I know we can swim at the pool there at Founders Park.
I think for what we're looking for, we're probably better to keep it in the pool. We don't have there's no lifeguard, there's no safety, not that anybody that's in our race is going to have an issue, but there'll be, plenty of salt water out there on Saturday. So I think we're just looking to stretch a few muscles and meet some of the other swimmers. Everybody's so focused on once registration starts, and that everybody's in a world of their own. So come out on Friday if you get here, if you're here early enough, and come by Founders Park, pull up marker 88, mile marker 87, on the Bayside. And it's a 50-meter pool. Come and jump in, do a few laps, and meet some of the other swimmers that you might not see until the awards dinner the next night. And it's just a great vibe, and we're going to see if we can get Coach John Olson, who was the captain of the U.S. Olympic team in Atlanta, swim team, and he swam in Barcelona as well. And we have a great open water coach, Jen Dutton, who just swam. What did she swim? 40 miles in 28 hours, I believe. She just swam Germany, France. I forget what the lake was, but she's our coach, and she's a badass. So come by and say hi to her. She's going to kayak this race. She's more of a cool water swimmer, but come on by Founders Park. It's a great vibe that morning. It's a nice way to relax a little bit and get a few laps in.
Awesome. And we really appreciate the Fighting Manatees and everybody for opening the doors. It's so awesome to be able to go do that, shake out the wiggles before you get going. Next up, how large should your goodie bag be with your fluids and snacks for the kayak? Guys, this is a bit of a personal thing, but again, the rules to think through: pack what you know you're going to need, and then pack a little bit extra. And also don't forget that your teammates are going to need to pack, and or your kayaker is going to need to pack. So you want to make sure that you've got a bag, multiple bags that can handle that. You really want to try to have a cooler. It gets hot out there, and nothing is worse when it is super hot than putting boiling hot liquid in your mouth. So if you really want to work where you can get a cooler, get some ice cubes, freeze those bad boys, and try to keep some liquids as cold as you can for as long as you can. I'm not gonna lie, by the end of the race, nothing's probably gonna be cold, but being able to take that stuff out. So make sure it's big enough that you can fit your food and nutrition, or you have multiple bags for your food and nutrition, and they're able to pack a little bit more than you think you might need. And also that you're able to bring something that can help you secure it to the kayak. There's a lot of times that either clumsy kayaker or getting in and out as a relay, those kayaks flip over, and you want to make sure everything that you put in that kayak stays right in there. Another great tip to help save you guys on some space, especially if you're doing a relay, think through the things you can share. Like, hey, we're a 2-person team, and someone's gonna be needing to wear a long sleeve shirt while they're in the kayaking. You probably only need 1 shirt. You probably don't need to pack 2 shirts. You probably only need 1 hat. Each person doesn't need to have a hat. So think through some things like that can help you be really efficient, and make sure you've got an abundance of the things you're really going to need, but you're being really efficient with the things that you guys can share. And same thing as you're thinking through just how to do that, make sure you practice it. That's why we let you have access to those kayaks a day or 2 before, so you actually can go down to the beach and practice packing your kayak and making sure everything fits in there and that your kayaker can move around. All right. Gone through the rules. Is it true that New Jersey is the best state? I keep hearing these rumors. I don't know. I mean, I feel like maybe it's the 3rd best state. Like, I feel like Florida would be number 1. I'm from North Carolina, so I'm going to toss that in there as a number 2. So maybe 3rd. Is that John? No? Okay. No, we really do. We've always been very lucky to have a great group of swimmers come down from New Jersey. We love that you guys love us so much. So just know that we love you guys that much as well. Are the buoys numbered? Yes, the buoys are numbered. Guys, that is number 1, going to help you with a little bit of sanity on race day. And number 2, when you get out there, you hit that dark place, think through, I just need to get to the next buoy. Don't worry about the lighthouse. Don't worry about the finish line. It's buoy to buoy all the way. And that's what's going to get you out there, and it's what's going to bring you home. The last time for packet pickup on Friday, Matt, thanks for jumping in there. Registration will close at 7 p.m. Guys, just like we love to start things on time, we also like to make sure that we end things when we say we're going to. So please don't be that person. Make sure that you plan accordingly. Make sure that you account for that little bit of extra Friday traffic that may be happening as you're coming down the road to Isla Mirada. We really want to give our staff and our volunteers an opportunity to get right off at 7, close the doors, and we have a lot of stuff we have to prep for race day. So 7 o'clock on Friday will be your final check-in time. There will be no check-in on Saturday.
Let me just jump in there too, Casey. I want to make sure we really will be closing it at 7. We want to get our staff dinner at that point and get them to bed. Many of us will be up about 3:30 in the morning to get things prepared for race day that next day. So we need to get those folks fed and rested. So again, 7 p.m. on the nose, we'll be shutting that down.
Yeah. Katie, I saw you had a question as far as will all kayaks be able to fit a cooler? You can't bring your Yeti. You guys would be surprised. We actually have seen someone try to bring not their little Yeti. They're like, I'm going fishing and I'm bringing something big home Yeti out on their kayak. It can fit a standard size kind of travel cooler. And all of them are going to be between 11 and 12 feet minimum, just like what we require for people that are bringing their own kayaks in. So again, you'll have an opportunity to practice with that. And those will typically be big enough to have a smaller cooler up front and sometimes in the back as well, depending on what else you're bringing. Yeah, always some things just to pack if you have a chance. Bungee cords, zip ties, again, anything that can help you secure your stuff. All right. Anything else? I don't see any more questions coming in. All right. Well, everyone, we really, really appreciate you guys taking the time to learn as much as you can before you get down there. We are so excited to welcome you to this little corner of paradise that so many of us have been lucky to get to experience for so long. And just really, really, really want you guys to feel part of the family while you're down here, and want you guys to feel a part of something bigger that we're all working to do. So get ready to have a bunch of fun. Get ready to come down and leave stress somewhere up on the interstate before you hit the Keys. And we look forward to seeing you guys in Isla Mirada in just a few short days.
I think Mike had a good last minute quote in the chat to make sure that everything is tied down in your kayak bungees, tie downs, because if it does flip over, especially if you're not a solo and people are in and out of the kayak, you don't want to lose all your nutrition. You don't want to lose anything else you have. So make sure that you have it secured some way. Thanks, Mike.
All right, everybody. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Mickey.
Thank you.
We've got our current reigning champion, Connor Signorin, on the call.
Woohoo! He has to stop eating. He's already getting ready. He's carving up, man. That's how he wins. I'm going to start. Look at that. Love you, man. Glad you're joining us again. Thank you.
He's conquered the solo for the last 3 or 4 years. 3 years, 4 years, 3 years. Last 3 years, and now they're taking on the 2-person relay. So everyone in a 2-person relay, look out! You've got Connor and Maggie going for it. So, thank you guys. We can't wait to see
the relay
you.
teams are just as fun as the solo swims. I'm
Well,
looking.
what's your team name?
The Catfish.
Cranberry Cat.
The Catfish. The super speedy
Perfect.
Catfish.
Perfect.
I'm the carp.
There it is.
Oh, nice.
Oh, there's t-shirts already. Love it.
Yeah. All right. Love
All
it.
right, gang. Well, we
Look
will
forward to
see
seeing everybody
everybody
next week.
soon.
Thank you all.
Safe travels.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. See you next week.